Election workers are scrambling all over the country trying to deal with an avalanche of last-minute problems with e-voting machines. With this information just pouring in, it's difficult to understand how the electorate can feel any sense of confidence in our upcoming election. Kitty Pilgrim reports.
You really can't miss it. The yellow button at the back of the Sequoia voting machine. Tens of thousands of machines used in 16 states and Washington, D.C. That button puts the machine in manual mode, so anyone can vote and repeatedly cast as many votes as they want. Activists say it's a major problem.
I worry about the poll captains having access. They're temporary workers. In many cases, there aren't background checks done on them, and it's easy for them to go back there, make those changes, and vote repeatedly and not be noticed.
Sequoia says this button is a standard and deliberate feature. The California Secretary of State's office says they have security guidelines to alert poll workers to keep a close watch on the button and any tampering. All across the country, activists have called attention to vulnerabilities on all kinds of electronic voting machines, but few of those vulnerabilities have been fixed.
We're at the 11th hour, and it's too late to do anything to stop the use of these e-voting machines, but it's not too late for voters to do something about it. And we're here to train volunteers so that they can get out there and observe the process and document, shine a light on the problem that e-voting is causing in this country.
All sorts of electronic glitches are showing up. Screens display the wrong candidate when a button is pushed. Today in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, large print options didn't work properly, cutting off candidate names, and election officials struggled with other electronic snafus.
We just got notice from the Secretary of State's office today that some of our voting units will not be reflective of daylight savings time,
potentially causing the machines to close down early. Technicians from the voting companies are working to sort out the last-minute problems. Today, activists pointed out that Sequoia will again have Venezuelan nationalists as support workers on the electronic machines. That's in Cook County, Illinois. Now, the workers are project managers from Smartmatic, the Venezuelan company that bought Sequoia. Election officials say they have no way of knowing how many Venezuelans will be there on Election Day, but they've seen some around. Sequoia today said 8 to 10 Venezuelan nationals will help with the voting machines during the elections. Lou?
Hugo Chavez is sending observers and monitors for our election, I take it.
I have, Venezuelan nationals taking a look at our
well,
machines.
that's wonderful. I mean, there are times I keep expecting the country to just sort of go into a group scream over these e-voting machines, because it does not make any sense that we could be in this kind of vulnerable, absurd position this close.
Activists are in a group scream, and I think it's important to just everyone document anything that goes wrong so that it can be known.
Is there a sense among those activists in particular that we're going to have enough people monitoring these elections to be aware in time that something has happened?
They're trying to set up hotlines and volunteer organizations.
Millions of Americans will be voting Tuesday on e-voting machines almost wholly owned by nationals of a foreign government. The voting machine maker Sequoia was sold last year to a company called Smartmatic. It's a company 90% owned by 3 Venezuelans, we think. The owners deny any connection to the country's anti-American government, but more than a few people have their doubts. Among them is my guest tonight, Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. She pushed to initiate an ongoing federal investigation of the sale. Congresswoman, good to have you with us.
Well, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with Kitty Pilgrim's report tonight, that we have machines out there in 16 states and Washington, D.C., Sequoia, Smartmatic, the Venezuelan company, in which someone can push a button and vote as many times as they want to. What in the world is going on?
Lou, this story just keeps getting worse and worse. Big yellow buttons on machines that allow people to vote as many times as they want. We've always heard about people trying to steal elections or game elections, but it seems like the technology is allowing it to go to an even higher level. Then she reports that more Venezuelan technicians are coming in to run the machines. So my question is, why can't Americans conduct their own elections? Why can't Americans be the technicians that look at our voting machines? Why can't we have standards and an independent review that makes sure that these voting machines are accurate?
Could these be more jobs that President Bush says that Americans simply won't do?
I think every American would be very proud to be part of supporting honest elections in our country.
The Help America Vote Act, the law, the billions of dollars put forward, 4 years ago, we get to this stage today. And I'm sitting here, frankly, tonight, I'm laughing because, as a friend of mine says, when you cross the penumbra of the absurd, there's only one thing to do, and that is to laugh. But I mean, this is scary, what the potential disaster that we're facing here, isn't it?
I agree. In its election season, I don't usually quote former President Ronald Reagan. He used to say, trust but verify.
Right.
And what we're seeing in our election process is very little audits. There's no oversight. There's no accountability. We can get a paper trail when we buy a cup of coffee in the morning, but we can't get a paper trail on our votes with our voting machines. This is outrageous. I think that we should have standards, an independent panel to review these machines, and certainly we should not have big yellow buttons that allow someone to vote as many times as they want. It's truly scary.
The contested presidential election of 2000, these e-voting machines, which some people thought might be helpful rather than a potential disaster initially, we're headed to a point where the electoral system is being laid bare for all to examine. And first and foremost amongst them are the e-voting machines that are unreliable, can be manipulated, and frankly, elections stolen. But we have also the issue of not knowing who is registered to vote. In New York, 77,000 dead people registered to vote. We have all sorts of issues surrounding this election. Do both parties have enough people involved in monitoring themselves to assure an honest election?
Well, we certainly need to do much more. There's no question about it. But everyone should vote, because if you don't vote, your vote's not going to be counted.
Right.
But as Kitty pointed out, that everyone should report if they see anything that they feel is not accurate or accountable. And we're moving forward, but your series, and I congratulate you on it, has really pointed out many things that we need to do in government to make the system more secure. The more I study it, the more questions I have, and your report tonight, or rather Kitty's, was truly astonishing.
Right.
More technicians are being sent in from Venezuela? Why? Why can't Americans conduct American elections?
I think that is a wonderful question, but I have that question about so many jobs in this country. I want to congratulate you, too, for taking the lead and calling upon CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, the Treasury arm, to investigate the sale. And without you, that would have gone all but unnoticed. So congratulations to you, and keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Congresswoman.
Well, thank you very much, Lou.